Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
And from OSHA Region 3. A very rainy evening here, wherever we are. This is Safety Wars, but wherever we are, you are. That's the advantage of the internet. One hell of a weekend, that's all I have to say. We'll just say, a relatively stress-free weekend. I mean, do you folks do what I do? Basically, Friday afternoon comes around and everything gets turned off electronically. Doesn't get put back on until sometime Sunday, or in this case, was that Sunday? It was a lot later than Sunday. Try about Monday morning around 11 a.m. You need time like that away from these freaking electronic devices. It's always a healthy thing. Reconnect with your family, your friends, organizations, a cause. Whatever it is, that floats your boat. I don't know, is that even a phrase? If I said whatever floats your boat, does that mean anything? No, we were having this conversation over the weekend. Now, there's a lot of people who don't get these new sayings anymore. These old sayings. So, for example, you could say it's raining cats and dogs out. Someone will go and look outside and say, no, it's raining water, not cats and dogs. I don't know. I delivered some Safety War swag over the weekend. Actually, this morning to my Aunt Sophie. She's a Felician nun out there in Lodi, New Jersey at the Immaculate Conception Convent. But anyway, the Felician nuns had it real bad during COVID. They lost like 75 nuns, and the order is not that large to begin with. And so we got to treasure those organizations like that. They fill an important role in our community, if not just for being there, for being present. Being present is always important. You don't want to be one of those armchair safety professionals, if you know what I mean. What's an armchair safety professional? Armchair safety professional sits in the office, sits behind the thing. They think that the keyboard. They think the keyboard, I plug keyboards in, right? They think keyboards are safety. Safety is really, you got to be out there amongst the people, making those connections, being a leader the best you can. Because we all know about connections, and Jay Allen, he talks about the connections out there. And that's all very important. I was thinking on the way in today, I don't know why that is, on the way into the project I'm on. Connection. Setting an example. So, no secret here. You look at the screen, I have bilateral left cleft palate. Last week, we actually ran into another person out there. It happens, bilateral left cleft palate like me. And we had a nice conversation. We're about a little bit younger than me, a little younger guy. And you think you got it bad? I've had like 6 surgeries, plus everything else. This dude had 19 surgeries to correct that. I said to him, what the amazing thing is that often, all right, and thanks to medical science, they can do this nowadays in vitro. Well, what do you mean in vitro? Yeah, before birth, even. I've heard of certain cases where they were able to correct things. And I don't have documentation, but I've heard this, right? I've read it, articles, things of that nature. And 1970s, my mother, and my father. My father worked second shift, so better pay. Working over there at Western Electric, Kearney Works, over in Kearney, New Jersey, was the largest employer for many, many years. And anyway, I'll digress. I'll get off the subject. We hear stuff all the time on Facebook, probably because the algorithm has got me pegged, where they talk about fiber optic lines. They talk about the tide turbines. I don't know if they're still there, that were National Geographic. My father actually worked on those after Western Electric. Fiber optic lines, he was working on that stuff in New Jersey. It started over at Kearney Works and moved over to AT&T in Clark. If you're familiar with Clark, it was Clark, New Jersey, small town in central New Jersey in Union County. And that's where a lot of the hardware for fiber optic lines that went across the Atlantic was created. But anyway, I digress. And also, Adam Sambora was one of my father's co-workers. And you may know him as the father of Richie Sambora from Bon Jovi. Anyway, my mother was left mostly to manage this stuff. Doctor's appointments, surgeries while my father worked. And remember, back in them days, insurance, but they always had good insurance, but often it wasn't enough. So you had to cover things out of pocket, regardless of who you were. Anyway, my mother got inspiration. Knew that everything was okay because there was one prominent actor that has cleft lip, cleft palate. And that is the famous Stacy Keach. And my mother was like, look, when we were involved in things, hey, look, Stacy Keach, he overcame his problems. You can overcome your problems. I didn't think there was it didn't really inspire me because I wasn't that kind of guy watching TV, adult movies, for lack of a better word. Not adult movies, but older things that are meant for adults, right? I was into cartoons. I was into gothic horror, right? Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, that sort of thing. And Star Trek, of course. But didn't really mean much to me until many, many years later. I was going out with my wife. We had just gotten married, and we were expecting our first child, James. And we were going to a restaurant, and we were regulars at one restaurant, a hamburger joint. I don't even think it exists anymore. It was a chain restaurant. I don't think it exists. But anyway, we were going in there, and for dinner, like once a week, we go out for burgers, right? And I had written my first book, Nuclear Terrorism, a Family Survival Guide, and we were having a little celebration along with some other people there. And when the waitress comes up to me, she says, Jim, I want you to know what an inspiration you are to me and how much comfort you bring me. And this is way before Safety Wars. This is like 2012, right? 2011, 2012. And I said, well, okay. She says, my child was just born with cleft lip and cleft palate a couple months ago. And you don't know how much it makes. I thought I made a mistake. I did it. But just meeting you and seeing you living a normal life gives me hope that my son will have a normal life. So that's that connection there. Just being present, whether you have a problem or not problem, just being present and out there in the world, you're being a leader. Going through that struggle, You're being a leader. You don't know who you're inspiring. That's why you got to be careful with what you say. If you're negative, you don't know who's watching. You don't know what problems people have. You know what struggles people have. And that's what I want to leave you with the opening monologue here. Then we're going to get to some of the war news out here. And that's basically it. If you have issues, you're going through it, you're struggling, continue to do that because you don't know who you're inspiring. No, like that old song says, if you're going to hell, just keep on going. Every day, it gets closer to wherever you're going to. You survive every day. One step at a time, things are going to get better and better. The way things are. You may not be able to see it all the way through, but things will get better. And we're on a forward march to our destination, on a further march, whatever that goal is, and you got to start that goal, whatever that is, whatever that march is. And we'll get there. We'll get there, hopefully together. And we're going to cut it and go to our first commercial break.
From the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars, with your host, Jim Posel on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
Have you listened or watched the Safety War show? It does stream live on the radio and on the streamer-emers that we have. So if you have not taken a listen to Jim Posel and what the hell he's doing every evening with Safety Wars, I would strongly encourage you to take a view or take a listen, whichever option is available for you, and take a listen to what the hell he has going on. It will take some deep dives in some information that you might be interested in.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Posel with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
The safety war has begun. The risks are out there, lurking in every corner of the workplace, threatening our most valuable asset, our people. But we have a plan. Led by Jim Posel, we are the last line of defense in this battle against danger and negligence. We will fight for safety, for compliance, for the right of every worker to return home unscathed. Join us on this journey through the unknown, where vigilance is our weapon and knowledge is our shield. This is Safety Wars, our fight, our duty, our mission. Heard regularly on your favorite podcast platform as Safety Wars, visit us at safetywars.com.
And we are back. How's everybody doing out there? We're going to go to some OSHA news and EPA news, and we're going to continue. We're going to talk a little bit of politics. We will warn you when we're talking politics here. Not enough. I have a lot I want to say. A lot, but of course, this is a Safety FM program. There's some, don't really lay off of politics unless it has to do with safety or the environment or something like that, right? Unless it's relevant. But a lot of political news out there today. And, over the weekend. And everybody has got to just calm down, take the volume down, and we'll get through it. We'll get through it together. So here we have, and let me do a share screen here. We got a lot of stuff going on at the OSHA website. Here. Share screen. Where are you? All right. Here we have the Safe and Sound Week. All right, coming up in August. Registered today. Safe and Sound Week 2025. Safe and Sound Week is a nationwide event held each August that recognizes the successes of workplace safety and health programs and offers information and ideas on how to keep America's workers safe. This year's Safe and Sound Week will provide resources and activities for businesses on emergency preparedness and response that can be done at work or home. Why participate? Successful safety and health programs can proactively identify and manage workplace hazards before they cause injury or illness, improving sustainability and the bottom line. Participating in Safe and Sound Week can help you get your program started, energize the existing one, or provide a chance to recognize your safety and health accomplishments. Participating is easy and fun. Well, I tell you what, here with this, every September, going back way before Safety Wars was even a thing, we talked about Disaster Preparedness Month. Our previous company that we had, I'm not going to mention names, but we had done disaster preparation for the community, and believe it or not, now up until Hurricane Katrina and then Superstorm Sandy, the public that I've dealt with and everything, they believe, well, the government will handle it. The government will handle it. Oh, what do we got to do? The government will handle it. And I pointed out, look, the government wants you to be prepared for 72 to 96 hours after an event happens. Be prepared. Have enough stuff, food, water, medicine, whatever else you need. And you have to do your own personal assessment because only you can do that personal assessment here, not anybody else. And again, it never ceases to amaze me here when people don't do that. So we're probably going to be reposting some of those programs. Go back and check the September editions of every Safety Wars, either in the podcast form or the video form. Every September, going back as far as we've been doing this, about 4 years now, we're up to like 460 programs. And check it out. Check us out with that. And the other thing is Finland. We had a boatload of people from Finland checking out our stuff because Finland is now pushing towards disaster preparation because they're just like a lot of places in Europe. We could do stories on Europe. No, do this, do that. The whole thing, prepare. And even though they may say things differently, like 72 to 96 hours, and be prepared, and I'll just list them as security issues, right? Here that you prepare for, which in Europe you're very limited as to what you could do with that. But anyway, this is a big one here. Let's switch back to the screen. Right, U.S. Department of Labor updates penalty guidelines to support small businesses and eliminate workplace hazards. U.S. Department of Labor, this is from Penalty Adjustments aimed to improve workplace safety. U.S. Department of Labor has updated its guidance on penalty and debt collection procedures in the OSHA Safety and Health Administration's Field Operations Manual in an effort to minimize the burden on small businesses and to increase prompt hazard abatement. Again, this is what Sheldon Primus had been talking about here, was with Republicans in, it's compliance assistance, Democrats in, compliance enforcement. Right, so here this is compliance assistance. All employers should be offered the opportunity to comply with regulations that help maintain a safe working environment, said Deputy Secretary of Labor Keith Sonderling. Small employers who are working in good faith to comply with complex federal laws should not face the same penalties as large employers with abundant resources. By lowering penalties in small employers, we are supporting the entrepreneurs that drive our economy and giving them the tools they need to keep our workers safe and healthy on the job while keeping them accountable. The new policy outlined in the penalties and debt collection section of OSHA's Field Operations Manual increases penalty reductions for small employers, making it easier for small businesses to invest in resources in compliance and hazard abatement. For example, a penalty reduction level of 70%, which was previously only applicable for businesses with 10 or fewer employees, will now be expanded to include businesses who employ up to 25 workers. The revisions also include new guidelines for a 15% penalty reduction for employers who immediately take steps to address or correct a hazard. Additionally, the updated policy expands the penalty reduction for employers without a history of serious, willful, repeat, or failure to abate OSHA violations. That means that you didn't have any problems at all, by the way. That's what that means. Under OSHA's revised policy, employers who have never been inspected by federal OSHA or state plan, as well as employers who have been inspected in the previous 5 years and had no serious, willful, or failure to abate violations, are eligible for a 20% penalty reduction. The new policies are effective immediately. Penalties issued before July 14th, which is today, will remain under previous penalty structure. Open investigations in which penalties have not yet been issued are covered under the new guidance. OSHA retains the right to withhold penalty reductions where penalty adjustments do not advance the goals of the Occupational Safety and Health Act. In other words, they'll do whatever the hell they want. I'm sorry, that's how I... Right? With that. So let's go in here. Right? Let's see. Did they actually... Yes. I don't understand what that logo is there. I don't know. It's like a circle with another circle and a couple of lines through it. I don't know. So this is chapter 6. This is rather extensive here. I'm not going to go through it, but it's I recommend everybody go through here on what the penalties are. This is probably worth PowerPoint presentation. So, extensive one on there. But that's the whole gist of the whole thing. All right. U.S. Department of Labor cites Georgia manufacturer, and this is from the 10th, levels of restful crystalline silica. We had gone through that last week. We're not doing that again. Now, on to EPA news. EPA announces a proposed plan to address drinking water contamination at a New Hampshire Superfund site. This is out of, I believe it's Region 1 of the U.S. EPA out of Boston last Friday. U.S. EPA has released a proposed plan for an interim remedy to address drinking water contamination at the Tinkham Garage Superfund site located on 102 Londonderry, New Hampshire. EPA is accepting public comments on the proposed plan from July 11th to August 12th. EPA is considering several options which would provide alternative water to mitigate risk for residents who rely on groundwater as their drinking water source within target neighborhoods. EPA is seeking public comment on the preferred interim remedy and will offer public meetings to receive input after the public has an opportunity to review and provide comments. EPA expects to finalize the decision in September. So upcoming meetings, there's one on July 10th, one on July 29th. You go up there if you're in the impacted area. Located in Londonderry with a D, New Hampshire, the roughly 375-acre Tinkham Garage Superfund site is comprised of residential, commercial, and undeveloped conservation land. In addition to the 13-unit Woodland Village condominium complex, there are single-family homes along Mercury, McAllister Drive to the north, Gilchrist Road, and blah, 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 and it goes on with the whole neighborhood there. The presence of volatile organic compounds, including 1,4-dioxane and polyfluoroalkyl substances, have been identified in groundwater at the site and in groundwater and some water supply wells down gradient from the site at levels that present an unacceptable current and future risk to human health and the environment. Groundwater is used as drinking water. Downgrading from the site and monitoring has continued since 2018. Households with detections above federal or state centers have been offered bottled water by the responsible parties or by the agencies as a temporary mitigation measure. So yeah, that's like not good to be drinking 1,4-dioxane and other things. Here's another one. EPA proposes to fine-tune cleanup plan to remove contaminated soil, protect groundwater at Goose Farm Superfund site. This is out of Plumstead Township, New Jersey. I don't recall ever... Yeah, I've heard of this, Goose Farm, but I don't know anything about it. U.S. EPA is proposing to update the ongoing cleanup of the Goose Farm Superfund site in Plumstead Township, New Jersey. The new plan targets addressing remaining soil contamination with PCBs and chemical waste that continues to pollute local groundwater. EPA has made real progress at the Goose Farm site, said EPA Regional Administrator Michael Bartucci. This plan tackles previously unidentified areas of soil contamination, bringing us closer to completing the job and protecting the community's groundwater for the long term. The Goose Farm Superfund site is located in an agriculture area that was once used to dispose of hazardous industrial waste. Decades of dumping led to a serious contamination of groundwater and soil. EPA began the cleanup in 1985 with a plan to remove contaminated soil, treat groundwater, and monitor the site over time. Since 1988, the party liable for the site has been performing the cleanup under EPA's oversight. Much of the work is complete. Additional testing over the years shows that some PCB-contaminated soil and chemical waste, known as light non-aqueous phase liquid, still remain. That means it floats on the water table. Right? Light, not apple. L-NAPL. The updated plan proposes the removal of soil with PCB levels above state cleanup standards and that it be sent to an EPA-approved disposal facility. The excavation of L-NAPL chemical waste that continues to contaminate groundwater. And EPA will hold a virtual public meeting this week here and with that. So let's see where this is. Goose Farm. I'm clicking on the link. Will the link work? Yes, it will. So this is how this looks. Like, I have no idea where Plumstead Township is. I am going to look that up. Maybe that will ring a bell in my brain. So I'm going to go to my camera here because I don't know what... Now, you put something in the search engine nowadays, there's no telling what the hell is going to come up. I caution everybody from putting, and this is not a not for safe work search, PVC gloves or boots in the search box. You're going to get things that are really not safe for work. So that's why we avoid that here. So here we go. Yeah, it's a good thing I took the screen off here because boom, 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 boom. Good thing because it showed something inappropriate. Not at least nothing dirty, just houses that we probably don't want to show here. And it looks at it's in South Jersey, and hold on, maps. And zoom out here. Okay, so this is, let me go, I think I'm safe with a Google map here. So this shaded area here is just north of Fort Dix Military Reservation on the northern bound side. That area in New Egypt is coming up as Plumstead Township. And south of Route 195. So it's right there in the heart of the Pinelands region here, as I understand it. But Anyway, that's I've probably driven through this thing for a long time, and I tell you, unfortunately, the person who would know everything about this site passed away recently. I believe this is one of the sites that he was working on. Now that I look at where it is here, friend of the program, Bill Flockhart, here. So, all right. That's what we got for EPA news here. So there's public meetings and everything else associated with that. So we're going to go to yet another commercial break, and we'll come back at you here on Safety Wars. Right? I'm trying to keep these breaks going here. We're at 30 minutes. And we may have some music.
Where danger lurks in every corner, one man stands as a beacon of hope. Jim Posel, a veteran safety expert with over 3 decades of experience, now bringing his knowledge to you with Safety Wars. Engaging, informative, and always relevant. That's Safety Wars. Join the safety revolution with Safety Wars, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos.
Hi, this is Jim Posel, your safety warrior. You know what drives you nuts?
Oh,
I mean,
hold on.
absolutely unhinges me. I see all this stuff on social media. I get stuff in the mail, the junk mail. Let's start that over again. Hang on. And everything else. And, hey, we have a health... Oh, hold on. Let's try that again. Hold on. This is live radio, everybody. Hold on. Hi, this is Jim Posel, your safety warrior. You know what drives you nuts? I mean, absolutely unhinges me. I see all this stuff on social media. I get stuff in the mail, the junk mail, and everything else. And, hey, we have a health and safety program for you. We have a health and safety process for you. Just throw out some money, 15, 20 minutes later, you have a complete health and safety program. No assessments, no professionalism, no professional checking out your stuff. That is where we have Aronite. They fill that gap between all these programs and having a professional in place. Right? Let's say that you're an office, a financial service company, a retail chain, a tech company, you name it. The last thing on your mind might be what your responsibilities are to your employees, the company, and, of course, the law. All about safety, right? We forget about the law. It's not only protecting your assets, protecting your people, and your people are your most important asset. It is also following the law. Aronite has a whole worldwide reach, just like Safety Wars. They have a thorough and comprehensive auditing system that will identify what your needs are and then help you write the plan or the program you need. And then, finally, they don't abandon you like all these other online platforms. They actually help you administrate it. We've all been there. We don't know what to do. We don't know what the laws are. We don't know any of this stuff. If you need answers quick, you come to me, Jim Posel, or you go to Aronite. Visit them on the web at aronite.com. Tell them Jim Posel from Safety Wars sent you. See you out there in the world of safety.
In a world where danger...
Safety Wars, a relentless pursuit into the high-stakes world of workplace safety and regulation. Jim Posel, a seasoned veteran on a mission to protect the vulnerable, the diligent, the everyday worker, in an environment where risks run high and lives hang in the balance. Welcome to the Safety Wars show on Safety FM. Follow us on social media as Safety Wars. Listen to us on your favorite podcast network as Safety Wars or visit us at safetywars.com.
I don't think people understand the true cost of negligence in construction. A suburban Madison contractor with a deadly track record is in hot water again. Already cited for fatal safety violations in 2022, the company was caught exposing workers to deadly fall hazards in February 2024. During a federal inspection, 6 employees were found working 12 feet up without protective gear. OSHA slapped them with 1 willful, 2 repeat, and 5 serious violations, proposing $144,505 in fines. Just 4 months ago, OSHA found similar hazards at another site, leading to more citations. Back in 2022, a worker was crushed by a 1,000-pound wall. The company was cited for 11 violations and has been a deadbeat and hasn't paid any of the penalties. OSHA's Chad Greenwood stated, "The company shows a blatant disregard for worker safety. Stay informed and stay safe. Visit safetywars.com. Listen to us on your favorite podcast platform as Safety Wars."
OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy!
Yes, Jessica, I am your father. Trying to get my son to do some of these stuff. He doesn't want to do it.
Safety Wars is streaming now.
SafetyFM.com.
So we have a lot of local stories here, right, in the Northeast on safety. We'll try to move towards other parts of the country later this week, but, this is what I'm hearing up here. No, somebody called me up. Hey, Jimmy, did you hear about this truck driver? The dude drove over the bridge, the Delaware Memorial Bridge. They're out there looking for him, and, they've been watching things through, and they're trying to figure out now exactly how... what happened. I had some people who went out to the job site here, as close as you can get with binoculars, and they're watching emergency crews and everything else, trying to figure out exactly what the hell happened here. So there is some construction on the Delaware Memorial Bridge. And many years ago, when was this? About 2011, my truck started acting up. I was driving in a Expedition, Ford Expedition. And I said, you know what? I don't want to break down here in Delaware in the middle here. Let me turn the truck around, and I'm going to go into facing into New Jersey. That way I'll know exactly where we're at, blah, blah, blah. We'll be going into New Jersey. So a little bit cheaper on the tow, blah, blah, blah. It's going to go exactly to where I know it needs to go, blah, blah, blah. So, and we'll shorten it. So I turn around, and I go to the Delaware Memorial Bridge. I go and I turn around. I'm going back north, right, over the north side of the bridge. And right before, right, so you're driving on the shoulder, right? I got the freaking flashers on, and I'm going. And right before the bridge, you go actually onto the bridge. You're on the entrance ramp to the bridge. It goes from highway with a shoulder down to no shoulder, right? That's where I pull over, and I leave enough room for the flatbed truck that would be, I'm calling, right, to go and pull over, right? They're easily identifiable as right before the beginning of the bridge, right-hand shoulder. That's where you'll find me, Expedition. Okay, great. So I'm looking at the photos here. They have the both sides. Here are basically the same configuration. And here you go. A tractor-trailer cab, meaning just the tractor part, not the load in the back. Apparently no load. Right? Crashed through a concrete barrier Friday and plunged off the Delaware Memorial Bridge into the Delaware River. It wasn't clear how many people were in the cab, which was found about 20 feet in water, but this is like a drop. No. Which was found about 20 feet of water, according to the Delaware River Bay Authority. Authorities had not confirmed the deaths as of Friday afternoon. This is a story from July 11th. The bridge, which has a clearance of about 175 feet above the river, has 2 4-lane spans and connects Delaware and New Jersey. The truck, which is heading into Delaware, so this is from the New Jersey into and by the way, the minute that you hit the water, no, I don't mean hit, meaning fall into. The minute that the water, a little bit of trivia, Jersey trivia, starts, it's Delaware. All right. And if we recall, we had Alicia Bjornsson on a couple years ago where there was a little piece of Delaware on the New Jersey side. Right, that was part of Delaware. That's related to this, right? The whole river is Delaware in that part. The truck, which was heading into Delaware, crossed 3 lanes of traffic before striking the barrier and going into the river early Friday morning, according to the River Authority. Rescue crews and dive teams from several agencies, including the U.S. Coast Guard, were involved in the search for the cab. A barge and crane were also helping with the recovery. The crash was under investigation as of Friday. Right? Here we have... Do we have an update here? With that, hold on. Where is the update? Hold on. Let's see if we got an update here. Hold on. Okay, here it is. Truck driver identified, and this is as of approximately 4 hours ago from airtime. A truck driver hasn't been identified. He went missing on Friday when his tractor trailer crashed through the guardrail on the Delaware Memorial Bridge. According to the Delaware River and Bay Authority, it was around 3:40 a.m., and it goes on and on. Officials said the vehicle's impact collapsed the concrete wall, and the tractor trailer cabs careened into the Delaware River. Search and rescue crews were able to find the truck, but didn't find the man's body until July 12th, that's Saturday. And they used, I don't know what a hearse tool is, but they used it to extricate the body of Zaire Murzalov of Brooklyn from the cab. And they're being, as we get more information, if it's available, we will update that story. So we know that. I know some people, calling me up, oh yeah, I was out there, blah, blah, blah. So this is from the AP, Associated Press, as of Saturday. FEMA removed dozens of Camp Mystic buildings from 100-year flood map before expansion records show. Federal regulators repeatedly granted appeals to remove the Camp Mystics buildings from their 100-year flood map, loosening oversight as the camp operated and expanded in dangerous floodplain. Don't things... right, this is... I was thinking about this today, too. The Jenga, right? Todd Conklin's Jenga model. Oh, yeah. It applies here. Little pieces going to the top, and then eventually it falls over. And this is what happens here. Here's another piece of the puzzle. Hopefully we'll get a full disclosure here, unlike some other things in the news that we're not getting a full disclosure on. Federal regulators repeatedly granted appeals to remove Camp Mystics buildings from their 100-year flood map, loosening oversight as the camp operated and expanded in a dangerous floodplain in the years before what happened on July 4th. FEMA included the prestigious Girls Summer Camp in a special flood hazard area in its National Flood Insurance Map for Kerr County in 2011, which was consequently FEMA was headed by, was during, and I have to say this because, you hear, oh, well, the Republicans said blah, blah, blah. Well, this was during Obama here. So there's plenty of blame to go around here, which means it was required to have flood insurance and face tighter regulation on any future construction projects. That designation means an area is likely to be inundated for a 100-year flood map. Right? So, located in a low-lying area in the Guadalupe River in a region known as Flash Flood Alley. Another Jenga piece, right? Camp Mystic lost at least 27 campers and counselors, and a longtime owner, Dick Eastland, won the historic floodwaters tour. The flood was far more severe than 100-year event envisioned by FEMA, experts said, and moved so quickly in the middle of the night that it caught many off guard, and the county lacked a warning system. I would say an effective one. It had a warning system, but it was ineffective. But Syracuse University Associate Professor Sarah Prell, who has extensively studied FEMA's flood map determination, well, I guess because somebody has got to do it. Thank God for people like Sarah Prell. Right? Said it was particularly disturbing that a camp in charge of the safety of so many young people received exemptions from basic flood regulation. Submits, quote, "It is a mystery to me why they weren't taking proactive steps to move structures away from the risk, let alone challenging what seems to be a reasonable map that shows these structures were in the 100-year flood zone." Camp Mystic didn't respond to emails seeking comment, and calls to it rang unanswered. Yeah, probably because the owner is dead. Do you think about that, Associated Press? The camp has called the flood an unimaginable tragedy and added in a statement Thursday that it has restored power for the purpose of communicating with its supporters. I mean, this is heartbreaking here. In response to an appeal, FEMA in 2013 amended the county's flood map to remove 15 of the camp's buildings. I guess nobody told the river that they were not to flood. Maybe, you know. Records show that those buildings were part of 99-year-old Camp Mystic Guadalupe, which was devastated by last week's flood. After further appeals, FEMA removed 15 more Camp Mystic structures 2019 under Republican administration and 2020 from the designation. Those buildings were located on nearby Camp Mystic Cypress Lake, a sister site that opened, and this is like, I believe, south of this, according to the map. Here, let's look at the map. Yeah, this is like south of Cypress Creek here, right? Is what it is. It appears to be south of the original area, right? Camp Mystic didn't respond to email, right? Pearl said the appeals are not surprising because communities and property owners have used them successfully to shield specific properties from regulation. In my opinion, they need to revisit that. Analysis shows flood risks at both campsites. At least 12 structures at Camp Mystic Guadalupe were fully within FEMA's 100-year floodplain, and a few more were partially in that zone, according to an AP analysis data provided by First Street, a data science company that specializes in modeling climate risk. Jeremy Porter, the head of climate implications at First Street, said FEMA's flood insurance map underestimates flood risks. That's because it fails to take into account the effects of heavy precipitation on smaller waterways, such as streams and creeks. First Street's model puts nearly all Camp Mystic Guadalupe at risk. The building at the newer Cypress Lake site are farther from the South Fork of the flood-prone river, but adjacent to Cypress Creek flood. FEMA's floodplain doesn't consider the very small waterway a risk. However, First Street's model, which takes into account heavy rain and runoff reaching the creek, shows the majority of the Cypress Lake sites lay within an area that is at risk during a 100-year flood. So, according to FEMA, quote, the flood maps are snapshots in time designed to show minimum standards for floodplain management and the highest risk areas for flood insurance, the agency wrote. They are not predictions of where it will flood, and they don't show where it has flooded before. And it goes on and on here. Again, I want to thank the Associated Press and who wrote this article. I got to shout this person out. Ryan J. Foley and Christopher L. Keller. Here. I mean, this gives, again, you have the Jenga puzzle. And you're taking one from the bottom, putting it on top, one from the bottom, putting it, and before you know it, as we say, all wrong turns lead to a not nice place with that. And believe me, this is not nice, and I'm going to offer my condolences towards everybody here. All right. Now, we talk about demographic issues here. And again, it's low birth rates. One of the reasons why we have all the issues that we have, and I think finally people are waking up to this. Right, I've been aware of this since 1991. You're crazy. Well, I don't think so anymore. Why social media is driving young men towards priesthood. Dozens of young men are expected at a vocation event in Knock, Comeo, amid a yearning for authenticity in a digital age. Social media is driving young men into the priesthood, aspiring frustrations around distorted realities online begin to take their toll, a senior priest has said. This is from thetimes.com here. Dozens of men, the annual Come and See event has attracted an increasing number of young people in recent years, something that's being credited to a spiritual hunger in society. I won't go for that. Father Willie Purcell, Ireland's National Vocations Coordinator, said young men were beginning to tire of the curated facades being presented to them online. He believed many were turning towards religion for deeper meaning. Okay, this is actually, a lot of people have, we pointed out in conversations with this. A lot of people inside and outside my religious community. I think there's a renewal of young people who are growing tired of this online generation. They're in search of authenticity and cannot find answers to life's real questions on social media or through AI. I believe the online generation of today are now questioning the things on a deeper level in order to find their own place in the world. They're being linked back to God, even if it's unknown to themselves. It's clear that there is a wonderful goodness in the youth of today, but it's no wonder that they're confused by information they get online. And Purcell, parish priest and Clara Kilkenny said the people who signed up to Sunday's event were mainly young working professionals or recent graduates. And going on, I mean, right? Well, we talk about lack of authenticity with the AI. I mean, that's an ongoing thing. And I tell you, conversation we're having inside and outside of the safety arena, like here, like we just talked. So with AI, right? And it goes with women and men and everything else. So you have the situation where you meet someone in person and you're like, wow, they're this way. Then you go online and it's like, wow, they're totally freaking different than that online. Look at their online persona. And you see that, it's sort of like there was an old interview of Ozzy Osbourne. And the interviewer says to him, am I talking to John Osbourne or am I talking to Ozzy Osbourne? Because there is a difference. So, well, this is John Osbourne. Then he went, this is Ozzy Osbourne, right? With that. And it's this lack of authenticity. Now, how does that work into this? I was having a conversation with a data scientist today, specifically on demographics. People, can use their imagination here. I don't want to say because this lives right. Would rather interact with a computer, would rather interact with other things than rather than a real person. Now, right. So back in the 70s and 80s, a lot of communities saw this. Right, the community she was in, the educational community, and they had classes on this is how to talk to the opposite sex. This is what it means to go out on a date. This is what this means for this, and because people didn't know. And I think that has something that might be impacting here, where they're looking for authenticity and everything, and they're looking towards the spiritual thing. In this case, the Catholic Church seeing more people for the vocation of priests. And probably I would be interested in seeing what the nuns are doing, the convents, because right now, the Felician convent that my family member is a member of, Sophie, she is out there listening to us right now. She is a member of having problems with novitiate. However, there is a Catholic community in New City, New York. They operate the Marian Shrine. A bunch of nice people. I meet them in Dunkin' Donuts sometimes after church. I know I see them in there, and they're very nice. I mean, they were there with the novitiates. They had like a half a dozen of them, and so I would like to see that exactly how that's impacting it. But again, it all comes down to lower birth rates and demographics and everything else here with this thing. What's going on? Here we have another one from The Guardian. This is from Gaming in Their Golden Years, Why Millions of Seniors Are Playing Video Games. This is another one, gerontological situation here. Michelle Stratham's preferred game is Call of Duty. It's fast, right? She boasts about how she'll beat opponents as it bless your heart while hurting over rooftops. When she said she respawns or comes back to life at a checkpoint. Right? She says, a lot of people are surprised that someone my age is playing video games. When I get really long sniper shots or down someone in the helicopter, it's pretty fun. Right? She has a lifelong gaming hobby and has become an income stream. She prefer I don't know how they do that, but she does it. But probably on Twitch, which we're on here. But says she has raised thousands for charity. Again, she chats, she does this, she does that. So she is one of 57 million Americans over 50 who game. A cohort that represents 28% of 205 million total U.S. gamers. Again, I don't do it. Well, God bless you. They're doing this. They're saying that there is some cognitive impacts, right? Again, all this stuff here, the phone, everything else is about programming. Apparently, they're programming things here. So, all right. Again, helping someone cognitive. I would like to see a double-blind study on here to see if that's true at all. So, where are we here? We're getting towards the end. We're at 55 minutes past the hour. So, here we have some more stuff. Grand Canyon wildfire photos show devastating historic impact on historic sites. 2 wildfires have torn through the historic Grand Canyon Lodge, which was engulfed in flames over the weekend. A pair of wildfires has unleashed a devastating path of destruction. Firefighters have devastatingly been attempting to tackle the White Sage Fire and the Dragon Bravo Fire. The latter has destroyed dozens of structures, including the Grand Canyon Lodge. Glad I got to see that when I could. Built in the 1930s, it was one of the only lodging inside the park at the North Rim. But over the weekend, it was consumed by flames. Here, they got pictures. How sad. Here, unbelievable. And governor demands investigation. Okay. Really? How's that going there? No. Okay, well, I'm sorry. Wrong state. Grand Canyon's in Arizona. I was going to say something if it was in California, because I know I'm thinking Death Valley here. Okay. And anything less in here?
All right, for more on this, let's bring in the Education Secretary, Linda McMahon. So the president is having a...
Okay, we'll save the rest of this for tomorrow, and we're going to end it right here. And for Safety Wars is Jim Polzel. I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
Come and listen to a story about a man named Jim. Safety's his game and the odds were looking grim. Workplace hazards everywhere, from ladders to machines. He took on the mission to make those places clean.
Safety, that is. PPE. OSHA rules.
Well, next thing you know, old Jim's in high demand, teaching folks safety from the mines to the land. Said we gotta keep them safe, make sure they know the score about hazards and the dangers that they just can't ignore.
Training, that is. Inspections. Safety plans.
So now they call him up. Safety Wars is here to stay. Fighting the good fight, keeping dangers at bay. Tune in and learn with Jim. He's got the safety know-how. 'Cause Safety Wars is on and we're starting right now.
Safety Wars, that is. Set a spell. Take your time. Stay safe now, you hear?
Institutions make a tremendous amount of money from foreign students who pay the full tuition